Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you're here today. If you've been here before, my name is Kaylee and I am an author and a teacher, and I'm excited to have some cool things to share with you today, some cool updates. Our drink of choice is an liquid IV and some water. I'm on spring break, which I'm really excited about. It's Tuesday, but it's kind of dreary outside. I see some dark clouds rolling in, so it hasn't been very bright and poolside conducive, I guess you could say, but I'm happy to be here because I can be inside and I can work on some projects and look ahead to the summertime, because when I go back to school next week, we only have about 4.5 weeks of school left, which is very exciting. So that's a good segue into our next topic. So I'm going to start with a couple of updates. If you've been around my last couple of videos, I have been collecting my childhood reading curriculum. Sorry if you hear noise. My little guy is right next to me watching Fanta cans being squished on the TV, like, you know, those cars that roll over all the objects. But if you've been here for a minute, you know I'm collecting my childhood reading curriculum, which is a patented reading curriculum from the Silver, Burdett, and Gin partnership called The World of Reading, and I have acquired number 8, level 8, which is called Castles in the Sand. Now, I don't remember this one specifically as much as I do the earlier volumes, but I remember a couple of stories out of this one, and I'm so happy to be collecting this. I loved this curriculum because it was literature rich, and I think the taglines were literature leads the way and skills support. I saw that written on a couple of the books as I was flipping through and reading some information about them. But I thought it was really cool to kind of flip to this page here, which I randomly did a minute ago. And it was about fantasy fiction, reading fiction and fantasy, which, you know, I'm an author, so I'm going to use this as a segue into updates on projects. What is fantasy, is what it says. When you read a fantasy, you can enter a make-believe world. Strange things can happen. Pigs can fly. Monkeys can talk. Sand can turn to gold. Fantasy stories are about people, animals, or events that can be found only in a make-believe world. And then it goes on to say, look at the next story called The House on East 88th Street and decide if it's a fantasy or not. So I think that's really neat. I'm really excited about this. I think this comes out to be about 4th grade level, I think. There were 2 volumes per grade level, like a first half of the year one and a second half of the year one. So if this is volume 8, this tracks to be about 4th grade, 5th grade level. And that tracks, I think the stories are about like this, which looks like 4th grade level to me. So I love this series. I'm so excited to have this. Next is On the Horizon, I think. On the Horizon, maybe. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. I love how I actually just saw this. Look how it has Winnie the Pooh in it, which is so cute. It's called In Which Piglet Meets a Heffalump. Isn't that cute? I just love that. We just had my little boy's 2nd birthday party. He had a Winnie the Pooh themed birthday party. It was like a vintage Winnie the Pooh theme. It was really cute. So that's that. I'm excited about that. So maybe in the next video, I will have acquired level 9, which is really exciting too. So next topic of discussion, writing updates. I have postponed my first draft of my fantasy novel, Project Tears, until summertime. It kind of hurt to do that, but I was thinking about it too much every day, and I was getting a little too success-oriented with it, like productivity-oriented. I wanted to write a little bit every single day and then have it done by the end of March, and it just was a little overwhelming at the time, especially when the part that I was stuck at was still very underdeveloped. I just need to develop it more. I've done really good with writing the first half of the book. I'm almost at 50%. Still, last time I was at almost 50%. I still am at that point. But I just need to slow down a little bit, take it bite by bite, and don't rush it. You know, this is the fun part to me. I'm having fun writing it, and I don't want to rush it. So Project Tears is done. Project Painter was a project that I was working on in January, and that was done and long finished. It is on Amazon KDP. But it's called The Painter, is what it's called. And I was going to use that for some online classes. So I'm just saving that for, it's not really for public, you know, release or anything. I can't stop anybody from buying it because it's on Amazon, but it's more for me. So I published it on KDP so that I can purchase a copy for myself. So Project Painter is done. Next is a story that I'll happily share the title of because I know it's likely going to change, but I am working on a new story series called The Seventh Bell Society. And so the Seventh Bell Society is a middle grade novel about a group of kids who discover a whole facility of ancient artifacts underneath their school, and they have to move them and get them to a safe place because, you know, an evil organization is trying to collect them all for an ultimate evil purpose. So that's like really cool. I'm really excited about that novel. I'm still in the brainstorming stages of that, so that's literally at 0%. So still working on that, but I'm really excited about that novel. I'll just call that Project Seventh Bell is what I'll call it. So from here on out, when you hear me talk about it, it'll be Project Seventh Bell. So that's really cool. Next, a segue into what's happening next is online classes. So I'm an online teacher, and there have been some super exciting updates and some really exciting things happening in the world of online teaching, and I can't wait to share them with you. So starting last year, my online website that I teach on called Outschool, which you've heard me talk about, made memberships required. I'm part of the Facebook hub, which I try not to visit there too often because it's a mixture of a lot of different types of people, and I don't think that it's an accurate representation of the overall thoughts of the teachers that are on Outschool. But it has at this point rung true that when membership started, enrollments dropped. For me, it was the same because I could only teach every so often. Like I have very little time to teach, and so my window of opportunity is very small. Yet the times that I do teach have been success, like they've been okay. So I have one ongoing class that is happening right now with a couple of learners, and that's kind of all that I have time for at the moment. So I have an online club that meets every week on Mondays, and so that's where I am right now with that. I had a new enrollment for a random class that I posted. And so I had a random class last week that I posted that was an hour long. And now I am getting into planning for summer. And so as of March, like just last month, Outschool heard the cries of their parents and their teachers, and memberships are no longer required, but now optional, which is really great. So what does that mean for parents and teachers or anybody just learning about Outschool? So Outschool itself is a marketplace. It's an online education marketplace where teachers go and create classes of anything they're interested in, anything they want to teach kids from ages 3 to 18, and parents can purchase those classes. From the genesis of Outschool, you could always go in and just purchase the classes that you're interested in. You could just go and purchase a one-time class. You could join a club. You could purchase a course. They're all live classes, and you could purchase just about anything you wanted to, and you could teach just about anything you wanted to. It was very flexible, very just a great resource for educators or people wanting extra money, or people just looking for something like a side hustle thing to do for fun. I love Outschool. I got started 2 years ago, and I am so thankful that I found this website, and I'm really grateful and excited for the years to come. Memberships are now optional, so we're back to a la carte purchasing. That's so exciting. I'm really thrilled by that. Now, summer scheduling has been on my mind today, and I think as of today, my whole summer schedule is finalized. So what I want to share with you are just a couple of things I have right here. I was hoping to be at my writing desk setup and kind of have a cuter background, you know, but my little one is still napping, and if you're a mama, you're working mama, and you're on a break, you know that nap times are golden real estate. So we're just kind of working with what we got, and we're making it do. So two things that I have here that I'm using is when I'm planning my classes, I go to my calendar. Okay, this is just a regular old calendar. I've been using the same kind of calendar for like a couple of years straight. It's called it's just Sugar Paper is the brand, is what it's called. But what I love the most about it, I'll go to a blank week, I guess, is that it's got this dashboard here for like all of your like different to-dos and to-do categories. And then over on the right-hand side is the actual calendar for the week. So you've got Monday through Sunday down here. And so I really love that I have this left section to brainstorm and write down all my different things, and then on the right hand side is where I actually write down events and like plan the week out, which is really, really great. So when I sit down, I first of all flip to June, and I look at when June 1st is. So the trend for me is every summer for the past 2 years, I have always had great enrollment with courses, classes, clubs, anything starting the week of June 1st. So I take a look at the weeks and I make sure, like, I'm aware of holidays. June is a busy month for me because it's both my anniversary, my parents' anniversary, my birthday, Father's Day, a lot of things going on. First day of summer, like June is just like a great month, just a fun month. So I want to make sure that I have everything in line for that month that I know that I want to do. I have holidays marked. I plan accordingly around it, because that's the glory of Outschool. You can plan to teach when you want, for how much you want, and teach what you want. So I just make sure I look at my calendar. So for me, I look at June and I look at July. So those are the 2 months that I teach the most, and then I go back to school in August. So I just refer to my calendar. Now, I have a binder, okay? This is my Outschool teaching binder. I have a bunch of different, tabs and things in here that I keep things organized with. My first tab is kind of like my bookkeeping, where I keep track of who enrolls in my classes, for how much, how many learners, payout date, estimated, take-home earnings, gross earnings, like all of that stuff. Like, that's what I keep in that first tab. The second tab are lesson plans, and so I have like printed versions of lesson plans that I keep here. Sometimes I don't have to refer to them, but if I have a day where I have back-to-back classes, it helps me to be able to arrange these and organize these so that I can mentally process what classes I have, especially when I have either 5 minutes buffer time or no minutes buffer time between each section that I have scheduled. The next tab is just extra documents that I've printed out for Outschool. My next one is a teacher onboarding for a secondary education marketplace that I'm sort of dipping my toes in and going to try out really soon. I might do a couple of one-time classes on there just to see. And then this is the part that I wanted to talk about. I have 2 printables here. I have a 24-hour schedule that's of a whole week. And then after that, I've printed out a daily schedule, right? So here, this first one, I've got a 24-hour look at the whole week, and then I can scribble out and mark out what hours I want to work, when I want to do classes. And then I've got my daily, where I can put my daily courses in and my daily classes in. That's how I kind of go about scheduling. So I personally started with the 24-hour schedule. I wanted to mark out for my weeks in the summertime what I wanted my schedule to look like. I scribble out what hours I don't teach, which clearly are like 12 a.m. to 7 a.m. Like, I didn't want to teach at all during those times. And then pretty much from 6 p.m. past, I didn't want to teach at all. And I scheduled my lunches accordingly. And then I wrote down like a draft of different courses and where they would go and what, how long they are, so I can kind of make puzzle pieces fit, because some classes are an hour long, some are 25 minutes long, some are 45 minutes long, so there's like varying, times and lengths of classes, and I wanted to make sure that they all fit in the way that I wanted them to fit in. So I did my 24-hour schedule there. Then I broke it down and wanted to map out my days. Most of my courses are the same. Like, most of my days will look the same because it's day 1, day 2, day 3, or day 4 of the same multi-day courses, one-time classes, ongoing. So at this point, I have, the list of things that I have, right? I have 2 math bridges, which are clubs for second graders going into 3rd grade. And each of those are 4 weeks long, meeting twice a week for 25 minutes each. So I've got 2 math bridges. I have a 3-day map camp where we make a map in 3 days. 4-day writer's circle. So in 4 days, I have, okay, a 4-day map camp, 4-day writer's course, a writer's circle, where we get together and kind of go over the basics of writing a fantasy story. A 4-week storytelling course, reading detective club, which is where we meet once a week to talk about reading comprehension. A fantasy spinner club, which is the one that's ongoing right now. It's where random spinners determine the criteria for a fantasy drawing or a short story. A codex course, which is different. It's like build your own codex, which is like making a physical book that can be like a thing in a fantasy world that has like the languages of the world and maps of the world, the hierarchies, and it just tells all about the world, but in like a fantasy like prop sort of way. So that's really fun. I've got a weekly oh yeah, the world building binder, which is more of like a writing course. And so kids put together a binder about their story that they're writing, which they can refer to while they're writing their story. It goes over everything from characters to the world itself. And it differs from the codex, because the codex is more of a prop that's decorative and aesthetic, but the binder is very much in-depth, the world that you are writing about and writing in. So if you need to remember, oh, what are the eras of my world? What are the rulers 20 years ago? What is this magic dynamic? What's the map look like? They can refer to this binder as they are writing their story. And then lastly, it's a one-time course, a map workshop. And so the one-time map making workshop. So those are the classes that I have. I would love to dive in a little bit deeper with that, but again, the golden real estate is up and done because the baby is crying. I know you heard my oldest here say, you know, the baby's crying. So I'm gonna go get the baby. But if you would like to hear more about planning for summer and planning Outschool courses for summer, don't be silent. Leave me a comment below. You can find all of the links below. This planning sheet that I have, of course, everybody likes to see, like, where can I get this to? So in case you feel like that. These two were just a free printable from a website. I'll try to link the link below so you can have it. I hope that you enjoyed your time with me today. 16 minutes and 45 seconds, not bad. I hope you stayed around, and I hope you come back soon for the next part of my progress on all of my writing stories and more Outschool summer teaching, online teaching stuff. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.